Check out the story from the Post Millennial. Michigan House makes using wrong pronouns a felony. The bill makes it a felony for someone to make an individual, quote, feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened, and is punishable by up to 5 years in prison and $10,000 fine. They say, they write, on Tuesday, Michigan State House passed a bill making it a felony. HB 4474 is designed to replace Michigan's Ethnic Intimidation Act to expand categories of protected classes to include identity, gender identity expression, and sexual orientation, and it passed 59-50. It is not yet law, but I guarantee, we will see, if this passes, I'm not so sure that it will, but maybe. I mean, it's Michigan. You got, I think Whitmer's still there, right? You will see people arrested for this. And you know why I have absolute confidence in saying that? Because Jordan Peterson warned us, how many was it, 7 or 8 years ago? And then in Canada, we have seen several instances where people have been criminally charged for using wrong pronouns.
I imagine this violates some sort of free First Amendment issue. Like, you can't tell me what I can and can't say to you. That's my right to say whatever I want. There might be, I'm not saying that the person's not going to throw a punch if I anger them and then they'll go to jail or whatever, but that's like the essence of this nation. The
Supreme Court ruled on 303 Creative, this Christian web designer who said, under Colorado's anti-discrimination laws, I feel as though I would be compelled to make wedding websites for same-sex couples if they approach me about it, and I don't think that's fair. And one of the things that came up in the decision today was the justices wrote, Colorado, under the interpretation of the law Colorado currently has, they would compel this woman into speech that she doesn't agree with. And so it's kind of similar to what you're saying. I wonder if in some way there is already legal precedent that, this is Michigan, so they can't necessarily take Colorado law, but if we have federal law that says you can't compel speech, like at what point do you prioritize the First Amendment? Maybe they would.
What they're saying with this is that I'm pretty sure the bill is specifically about in the act of committing a crime if you do this thing. It's what do they call it?
Like a hate crime thing?
It's a hate crime thing, but it's I forgot what it's called in law when they add on to the crime because of a thing you did. I forgot what I can't think of it right now. Yeah.
Like a secondary offense, I think, is what they call it. Like you can't get pulled over for
something, or something
but
like
once
that.
you get pulled over, they can charge you.
I mean, it's bad. It's a bad precedent, but I think it was Nuance Bro who was talking. He's like, it's kind of comparable to the lynching bill. It's like, well, lynching's already illegal. It's already illegal to harass people. It's already illegal to do these things in this bill.
To make someone feel terrorized.
Yeah, that's not up to me. The way you feel is the way you choose to feel. My words are not making you feel anything. I'm making noise, and then you are interpreting that and making yourself feel a certain way.
We will see someone arrested for this.
Yeah, me. I'm probably going to get arrested for this. I'm going to yell at Governor Whitmer and call her a boy and go to jail.
You can't go to Michigan anymore?
No.
They'll say that you were it's right-wing terror and all that stuff.
Can you get arrested for it, or is it just an additional charge that you would get, or it makes the charge more severe if you're also misgendering them?
I think this in and of itself is a hate crime, to make someone feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened.
By misgendering them.
Well, in any way. It literally, I don't think it specifies.
To make someone feel afraid, is that what it says?
Intimidate means willful course of conduct involving repeated or continuing harassment of another individual that would cause a reasonable individual to feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened, and that actually causes the victim to feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened. Intimidate does not include constitutionally protected activity or conduct that serves a legitimate purpose.
Well, constitutional protected activity is calling a man a woman.
That's right.
But apparently not.
No, it is.
You would think.
So that will be up for the courts, but we are marching in the direction. So look, Jordan Peterson, this was his big thing. Was it Bill C-16 or whatever it was back in the day? He was like, what's the next thing? He's like, people go to jail for this. They all mocked him and they said, you're lying. They were like, Dr. Peterson, the penalty is a fine. And then he goes, and what happens if you don't pay the fine? And everyone's like, you go to jail. And he's like, oh, so what did I say that was wrong? And then sure enough, we've seen it. There was like one guy who wouldn't call his daughter male pronouns, so they arrested him or something like that.
What?
Up in Canada?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Let me see if I find that.
We had a member one night that was afraid to say anything bad about Trudeau because he was a Canadian. and he's like, I can't, like, you guys can make the jokes, but I won't make any jokes here on your after show.
Danny
Here's a caller.
Polishuk doesn't
There you
even
go.
make that money Trudeau jokes, and he's
2021.
He's edgy.
He's like the
2021,
funniest.
father arrested for discussing child's gender transition in defiance of court order.
I mean,
You know,
why would a kid
teenager
want
was
their parent
born
to go to
female,
jail?
and he was kept referring to her with the look at this. Look at the New York Post wrote, referring to his teen daughter, referring to him with the pronouns she and her. Born female. Okay, New York Post. He was found in contempt of court and arrested Tuesday for calling the teen his daughter and publicly referring to him with the pronouns she and her. The teenager was born as a female.
And that's in Canada?
Yep.
Well, that's already happening here, though. In California,
Yeah.
they want it to be child abuse if you don't affirm your child's
Exactly. I'm telling you,
perceived
it is.
gender.
It is coming.
we got everybody got really mad at Target for the tuck-friendly bathing suit, but then when you really looked at it, their marketing of VP was giving $2.1 million to Glisten, which actually is a corporation that helps kids transition behind their parents' back.
But
So they really are. I mean,
They're
they're
not secretive about what they're
it's
supportive of.
out in the open.
they've been partnered with organizations like that for like over a decade, though. Target is one of the headline sponsors for New York City's Youth Pride and was one of the founding sponsors of New York City Youth Pride. So it wasn't just, I'm just surprised it took this long for people to realize
But I think
how
the
far their
narrative-
tentacles were reaching.
I think the narrative around pride in these organizations shifted over time. Like over the last decade, it went from being like, you're going to come out to your parents and they're not going to accept you and you need a chosen family who will embrace you and love you, to being like, you're going to tell your parents that you want to undergo medical intervention surgery to alter your sexual characteristics, and they're going to say no, and that's terrible, and you're going to have to look for people to support you. Like, the conversation has dramatically shifted as our leftist progressive counterparts have embraced gender ideology.
It's the Bolsheviks. They took the ownership of children very
Imagine
seriously.
a court ordering you to not refer to your own daughter as your daughter. And he got arrested for it. This is back in 2021 March, I think it was.
Yeah, it'd be
And so
annoying.
like in California, they're passing that bill that says you have to affirm your kids, otherwise it's child abuse. They'll take your kids from you.
No compelled speech laws. I don't like that. I mean, affirming the kid isn't necessarily a speech thing. Because if they start making you, compelling you to say something, then they can make you say things about your leader. And no, that's.
I mean,
not.
this is,
People
like
How
I
many
said
lights
before,
are
this
there,
is
Ian? Yeah.
a specific thing the Supreme Court just ruled on yesterday, that we shouldn't be, that state laws shouldn't compel you to do something that violates the way you would otherwise speak. But again, they're dancing the line. They're sort of saying like, well, we're not saying that you can't say something. We're just saying that we'll punish you if you don't say this other thing.
Well, I think the dad was really disappointed because if you notice in this particular situation, this was a female to male transition, giving them no advantage in sports. Now, if this was the other way around, where it was a male transitioning to a female, maybe she would have been a great athlete like Leah Thomas, and then he would have been more proud of her.
Maybe it's on the dad. Maybe he's
It's
just
on the
mad.
dad. That's what I'm saying. I think it's the dad's fault.
The father
he
was
should go to
trying
jail.
to find medical solutions that didn't involve drugs, and they were like, nope, drugs. Yeah, wow.
Well, that's the thing, Tim. They literally, this has happened with Chloe Cole. They'll tell the children's parents that the child is going to kill themselves if they do not get this gender reaffirming surgery.
When
or
in
hormones.
actuality, desistance rates are between like 65 and 98%. So your best opportunity, the best course of action seemingly for the child, this is what Europe found, is nothing.
Yeah.
Non-intervention. Non-intervention. And when they say stuff like, if you don't do this, your kid will take their own life or harm themselves, it's actually the inverse. If the suicidality, ideation and action is higher among the transgender population, but children are 60 to 90% likely to desist with no intervention, then intervention actually increases the rate of suicidality.
Yes.
We don't want to get medical misinformation, but SSRIs actually increase your suicidal idolization.
Well,
So does
I'll
birth
keep it
control.
simply. Make sure you find a good doctor you trust for
Yes.
all of this stuff, because
Yeah.
we're just people on the internet, okay?
yeah, I'm not a doctor. Do not listen to anything from me medically.
Yeah. So I'm speaking not as a medical doctor who can talk about mental health. I'm speaking my opinion based on the studies showing desistance rates are this high.
But,
so what I should say is, if those studies are true, logic would dictate the best course of action is X.
But
Not a doctor, though.
You are, to confirm what you're saying, Alex, antidepressants and suicide risk from the National Institute of Health, 2005 systematic review, controlled trials compared SSRIs With other active treatments or placebos, found an almost twofold increase in the odds of fatal and non-fatal suicide acts among
That's
those
from
exposed to SSRIs.
NIH?
Yeah, National Institute of Health.
Wow.
That was the first thing that came up when I typed SSRI suicide. It's no joke.
And I'm not a
Yes.
doctor at all, but I'm telling you, not once during the pandemic did they ever tell anybody to go get some exercise and eat better. I mean, I think that's where it comes down to a lot of our mental health problems too, is the crap that we eat and that we don't exercise.
And just because I'm sure a lot of people are like, what's an SSRI? It's a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. There you go. Now you know what SSRI stands for. The more you know.
Serotonin
Anxiety
selective
and depression.
Yeah.
reuptake inhibitor.
Well, you've been working out a lot. How do you feel?
I feel better. No, and I think that's like, for me, I've had challenging stuff. I lost my mom not that long ago, and I remember exercising and stuff because I was very depressed about that. That's the only thing that made me feel better. So I think if it helped me with that, it would help everybody else. And I know it's not a placebo. It's not just going to fix problems with people that exercise that are depressed. But I'm just saying there are natural remedies, I believe, instead of just taking a magic pill.
I've been doing a mile on the bike, on the assault bike, and it's like it lowers my blood pressure. Like I just work in my lower body, a little bit of the upper body, but afterwards for like 6 hours, I just have lower blood pressure. It's fantastic for my mind.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.